Okay, but let's start with where we are today. It's 2019. Human attention span is very small. Very small. So less than the goldfish, if you really think about it, how fast people are swiping these days, how quick we're consuming content, and there's more content than ever. And by more content than ever, I mean really, really more content than ever. We are competing in the digital space with all of these different platforms for people's attention, right? So each person in this room, all of our family members, our friends, our kids, have their own channels that they pay attention to in the digital space, right? So there's lots of these on here. There's a lot of conversation in my company right now around Twitch, around the gaming platforms, right, that are really big and growing with the centennial audience. Snapchat really became huge for a second, and now it's kind of tapered off a little bit as we've seen some of the other mega channels grow, but there's so much competition. Even podcasting, right? Consumption of information. If I'm going to spend my time during the day on something, am I listening to a podcast? Am I swiping through my Facebook? Or am I reading an article on the Wall Street Journal? Right? So we're competing for all the attention. What's also happened is that organic reach is dropping, and that comes from the brand side. Organic reach is dropping because Mark Zuckerberg actually told us that he was going to do this. He said, listen, I want my channel to be really beneficial for you as a person. For you as a person to connect with the people that you know and love in real life, but in my space. No pun intended. And so what he did is actually took this organic reach away, and what he said is, I want to make sure that people are having close connections, they're actually feeling better when they come to my platform rather than feeling worse. The reason I'm starting with Facebook is really the leader in this market, right? In the social world in general. There are lots of different channels, but Facebook is the one that really, there's Facebook, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, and WhatsApp now that are all owned by Facebook. And so they're this conglomerate in the industry that's kind of pushing all the other channels to follow along, right? So when this starts to happen on Facebook, there's lots that's happening similarly on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, right? So this is our ecosphere. This is what's happening today. Then, dun dun dun, this happened. So middle of the year last year, we found out that there was some data that was used inappropriately that was leaked by Cambridge Analytica. Does anybody not know what I'm talking about? Okay, so on the platform, in our 2016 election, there was some data that was used by this company called Cambridge Analytica. It was actually all used according to the policies that were in use at the time, that was used very inappropriately. So it was used to sort of mask who was buying these ads and to put propaganda in the channel and to really tweak what people were seeing in their personal newsfeed. And it ended up that was really conflicting with people's personal choices as we went into that election season. And so when we found out that this happened, people started to get pretty upset about it. And they said, listen, if you're going to use my data in this place that I go to connect with my friends and family, but it's going to start to mess with how I'm, understanding our world at large, I'm out. And we saw this, everybody saying they wanted to leave Facebook. So Facebook is making these changes, and it's really driving the industry. There's also this big thing called GDPR, right? So that makes sure that all companies that are messaging to a consumer over email, over social, whatever, have explicit consent to use that data to market to them. So it's happening in Europe. It's driving all of our standards here in the US. And all of this is just, again, what's happening in the space that's making the consumer or the person that's watching in the social feed a skeptic, right? Questioning these platforms on whether or not it's providing real value to them and whether or not they're trusted. So we see these huge trends and this huge industry shift that makes lots and lots of people say, I'm not sure that I want to put myself in this platform and engage publicly. I want to have maybe a more private conversation. And so this is something we were just chatting about before I came up on stage, and maybe you're now in your personal space getting onto these platforms and you're consuming content, but you're not publishing content, right? There's a lot of people that are doing that, the passive users in the channel. So you're getting on there, and you're like, let me see what everybody's up to, but I'm not going to go tell you what I'm up to. Or I want to use this in a way where we slide over into DMs and just have a private conversation with these 3 or 4 or 5 people that I know, rather than with everybody who's my follower or my friend, right? So these are the trends that we're seeing. So as business marketers, as salespeople, we have to think about our clients, our customers, as facing all of these same changes, as being a real human being that's experiencing this, that's saying, I don't know if I trust this ad. You know, we heard from the panel this morning a lot of lack of trust, or a lot of feeling like, you know, these sort of cold calling, even cold advertising is not really working for them. So what do we do as brand marketers to break through that